Morning and welcome on this Wednesday morning. I had a real what day is it moment as I was getting out of the shower this morning. It's like, what actual day is it? But I do believe it's Wednesday. So do correct me if I'm wrong. That's the assumption I'm going under. So good morning. Welcome in on this Wednesday morning to this morning's Facebook Live, where we're going to be doing a bit more crafting and a bit more playing. Morning Beryl, morning Valerie, morning Jeanette. I think I can see Hannah's picture just popped up just there. So good morning to you all. I have started to have a bit of a tidy in my craft room, so hopefully we'll be able to find things a bit better this morning. And this morning we're going to be playing with this Friend Like You bundle. So continuing our little mini series this week, episode 3 of bundles where the products are carrying over to the new catalogue, but you're not going to be able to get them at bundle price. So if you want bundle price, you've got to get them now. So bundle price means that you get, if you buy both the stamp set and the die, you buy it as a bundle and you get 10% discount. Morning Beryl, yes, I'm fine, thank you. Hope you're all okay too. So yes, so this Friend Like You and the Friendly Silhouette dies is one of those bundles, morning Emma and Lisa, that currently you can get 10% discount after the end of May, or when stocks run out, and there are some that stocks have run out. You won't be able to get it as a bundle price. You'll need to buy it as 2 separate items. So let's have a play. I've got a few things out today that are retiring as well, that we're going to be playing with. Some of the, oh, you need to get your hands on this before it's gone. So, Friend Like You, gorgeous stamp set. You've got sort of like these foliage bits, and then you've got the stamps that you can line up on the top, depending on what sort of morning Jackie. Depending what image you want. You've got these sort of like wave stamps, you've got the little dragonflies, you've got the palm trees, and then you've got things like Life is so good with a friend like you, enjoy the little things, here's to celebrating you, thanks for being there for me, and then this would, and everything else will work out. So you could have enjoy the little things on the outside and everything else will work out on the inside. Perfect card for sending at the moment. And then the dies that go with it, as it would suggest, Friendly Silhouette dies are sort of like a silhouette effect. So you've got this flower meadow, and you've got this that could be bulrushes, but equally could be a wheat field. You've got your palm trees, and then you've got your little die that cuts out your dragonflies. So together they make a fabulous combination, as you would expect. So, where to start? I think we're going to start with a piece of our watercolour card, so the Fluid 100 watercolour card. I had a bit of a panic this morning because this is one of the things I'm waiting for a delivery on. It has been dispatched and on its way, but I had got some bits left, which was good. Just a heads up, if any of you are waiting on orders, if you have orders, you know, that are waiting to come out of the warehouse. They had a couple of weeks ago a huge issue with an electrical outage that obviously damaged some of their equipment. That is all fixed. They are all working as hard as they can given social distancing. So in Germany they have the same sort of social distancing, so you know they can't pack the warehouse full of extra people to get things out to us. Morning Caroline. So there are delays coming out of the warehouse. So on top of these, the problem that they had that put them back a couple of days, the fact that they're working on sort of fairly low staffing and having to keep all these distance measurements, which obviously cuts down on what they can get out the door on a daily basis. On top of that, of course, they've had lots of orders for retiring list, and now, yesterday, a whole ton more orders with people, with demonstrators putting in their pre-order. So morning Claire, morning Linda. So if you are waiting on orders, they are doing the very best they can, but they are going to be slower than we've come to expect. So please be patient with them, as we are being patient with everything else. But that doesn't mean that you stop putting orders in. Yours will just get added to the list and they'll get it out to you as soon as they can. I'm sure they will turn that situation around as fast as is humanly possible. And as I say, I had notification this morning that my watercolour paper is on its way to me. In fact, I'd nosed yesterday and already knew it's going to be here tomorrow. It's exciting, isn't it? So once they are dispatched, it's still sort of 48 hours and they're with you, which is not bad going considering the warehouses in Germany. So, where are we going to start? We're not going to start with that. We're going to start with some pigment sprinkles. Now, pigment sprinkles are retiring. It's very sad about that. I love a pigment sprinkle. But they're retiring, the pigment sprinkles. So if you want some pigment sprinkles, and who doesn't want some pigment sprinkles, then you need to get them now. I'm just going to grab a little paint palette and let's give it a bit of a... Oh, there was pigment sprinkles in there, look. I could see there was dust. It obviously wasn't dust, it was pigment sprinkles. So let's, and the minute I added water to it, it went ping, green water. Let's give that a bit of a rub. And then we've got somewhere, because I'm actually going to be watercolour washing with some pigment sprinkles. And it just is the sheer vibrancy of them that is just so wonderful. So I have my little piece of watercolour card just here, and I've run it through with the stitched rectangle, so you can see that, but we've got a stitched rectangle of watercolour card. So now we need our aqua painter. Now, as I said, they are bringing in new styles of water brushes as well, and the big fat one that's in the new pack would be really useful for this job, but I have to be patient on that one. So that's the situation we're in the middle. We're sad that the pigment sprinkles are going, excited about the idea of the new paintbrush. That's the way life is at this sort of funny stage where we're between things retiring from one catalogue and the new catalogue launching. What colours shall we have in the background there? I think we will have a bit of Bermuda Bay, because that's sort of a bluey greeny sort of hue. We'll have some Granny Apple Green. I think I possibly will put in a little bit of Daffodil Delight and possibly a little bit of Melon Mambo. Let's see how we go. So I'm going to add a little tap. So when you take the lids off your pigment sprinkles, you've got this top that's a bit like a pepper pot. So I'm just going to add a little smidge. Might need a bit more than that, we'll see. And I'm going to add some water. I'm going to add quite a bit of water because I do want it not to be quite such a dark. I don't want it to be ever so dark. Morning, Glenda. This one is the green, believe it or not. That orange powder there is going to give me Granny Apple Green. Let's squeeze a bit of water in with there. It's just magic, isn't it? The minute you add water to it. Pop. I haven't mixed any of these yet because they're going. That would just... Morning, Tom. And possibly Thea, and who knows, a bit of Emily as well. So this is Melon Mambo. There's quite a bit in there. Let's add some water into there. And the nice thing about these is you can let these, you don't have to wash these out when they're finished. You can leave your palette, and if it dries, then it will just, the minute you add more water to it, it will reactivate. And that one is the Daffodil Delight. Okay, so as of yet I've not added any water. I've got pigment sprinkles on my fingers the minute I touch the card. they go everywhere. So that powder will have splashed everywhere. I can see little specks of it on that paper, but that's okay. I'm going to put down, just going to put down a wash of water on there. And then I think we'll come from the bottom up. Let me give this Granny Apple Green a bit of a mix, and then we'll add in some green on the bottom. Obviously, the more colour you add in, the more pigment you add in, the brighter the result. I'm going to give that a bit of a squeeze out. Wash that on my squeegee mat. I'm going now with some Bermuda Bay, which is sort of quite a turquoisey colour. And obviously, if you've still got some brushos, you can use these alongside your brushos. Just because they're retiring out the catalogue doesn't mean you can't play with them. And you can see where those colours are blending together just there when they're mixing. Let's add in a little bit of yellow on that top now. Might be a bit bright, and I might go back over it with some blue in a minute. And then right in the top, I'm going to add a touch of Melon Mambo. I'm going to take a bit of that Bermuda Bay and I'm going to water it down even more. And just use that to blend those all in together, just to tone down that yellow and that pink a little bit. And bring it down. Let's mix all of that together. So we have a watercoloured washed background. Add some of that Bermuda Bay into there just to make that slightly darker. Now I'm going to carefully put these to one side for a minute so that I don't knock them flying. We need them back in a minute, we'll bring them back in. As you can see from your water brush that you've got that colour pigment. So I'm just literally going to squeeze it and flush it out onto my very messy mat. And there we are, you can see it's now clear again. I'm going to pop this to one side for a minute. We may need to come in and give it a burst with the hot air glue, with a hot gun in a minute, a hot heat tool. Shouldn't call them guns. Facebooks will be shutting me down talking about guns. It's a heat tool. So I'll leave that to one side for now just to dry off. As I say, we might need to give it a blast in a minute. But while that is drying off in the background, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take stitched frames. Now, I used that one for my watercolour card. Let's see if we can cut a piece of black. Is that? No, we'll need a bigger piece of black card. I just happen to have one just to my hand. Let's trim this down. I'm going to cut it as a quarter of piece of A4, and then that will give us some card to play with. So now that will sit quite nicely on there. So let me just run that through here, through the back shot. That will give me a nice black frame. Watercoloured wash, and having a black frame always makes it pop all the more. And then continuing to play with some black card, and this time I can rummage around in my oddment box. Let's cut out some of these silhouettes. My strip's going to need to be slightly bigger than that, I think. Ooh, might just about make that one. Although there won't be very much on the bottom to stick on, so I might look for a slightly wider one. So these actually cut, so they don't cut on this bottom section. Morning, Sarah. They cut along here. So you'll always get a bit at the end, that bit on the bottom that you can then use to glue your piece in place. Or just rummaging through my strips. That's perfect. Our oddments, because to use them up. That is obviously a much deeper dye than that one. I'm going to go I'm going to take a quarter piece of cardstock for that one. Right, so let's run these through and let's cut these silhouettes out. And so we can do these in black, so they really will be silhouetted. So we've got a really bright background. And we're going to have these silhouetted in the front. And I need to make sure that that's all cut, and it is a question of easing these out, because they are, as you can see, a little bit there. Wiggle, wiggle, gently, gently. Bring these two pieces apart. And then we have a few pieces in the middle here. We're going to just pop out. They're just beautiful, these dies. So that's that one. Let's there we are. That really shows it, doesn't it? Just beautiful. And then let's run this one through. And as you can see, that's got a fairly wide border on the bottom. It might be that I need to trim that down. We'll see. But it's better to have it slightly wider than you want it than having it too narrow and then not having anything to stick down. The sun is beautiful here today. Our weather is just really yo-yoing. So the forecast this week is to be really lovely. The temperatures will be rising as the week goes on, till it's about 23 degrees apparently on Saturday. And then Sunday it's going to absolutely plummet to be about 10 degrees. So these dies and stamp sets, this is the Friendly Silhouette dies, Sarah, and the Friend Like You stamp set. So there's your Friend Like You stamp set, really pretty stamp set, and then these are the Friendly Silhouette dies that go with it. So at the moment you can get that as a bundle, but they will still be in the new catalogue, but not at the bundle price. So here's our second die. Let's just pop out any centerpieces out of that one. As you can see, this is the one that you can use as bulrushes around the edge of your pond, your lake, on the side of your river. But equally, you can colour them up to have them as wheat fields, grasses. Entirely up to you. They are whatever your imagination says they are. Let's put those little bits of black card to one side. Apart from our stitched piece, we want that. Don't put that to one side. Get rid of these little bits. Have a quick slurp of tea. Actually, I think the one other thing I will cut out is I'll cut out a pair of dragonflies as well. I think they'll have some silhouetted dragonflies. So there is a stamp that goes with these, but obviously we're doing like a colour background with silhouettes, so we don't necessarily need that colour. We'll just have our little dragonflies. Let's pop those pieces out of there. As I said the other day, you always want to make sure that you've cleared your dies, because otherwise when you run your card through, there's nowhere for it to go to if the holes are sort of all bunged up with card. Right, these are the ones that we're going to lose, aren't they? Let me just grab one of my little pots and put those dragonflies in there. Hopefully we shan't lose them. Okay, let's bring back in our card, and you can see that it sort of continued to blend into each other as it's been sitting there, and that's one of the benefits of leaving these to dry by themselves rather than drying them. But I am going to give it a dry now. Pigment sprinkles, they do develop as you leave them, and they sort of do their own thing. Oh no, it's all curling up. Look, you can see where the colour has soaked through to the back. And if we dry that side, it will take some of that curl out of it. Okay, so I could have stuck that down so that it didn't move and then cut it afterwards. I could have leave it underneath something stiff now, to something solid and hard to weigh it down, but I'm actually just going to stick it down with Tombow. I'm going to make sure that you use a good, you wouldn't want to use snail on this, you wouldn't want to use a tape runner unless it was a particularly strong tape runner. Far better off with wet glue. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to actually get my big block. I don't use my big blocks for stamping very often, but they make a very good solid weight. To give that a good press down, put a bit of glue that's seeped out the side there. Okay, so you can see how instantly that black background just makes it pop. And now we've got our silhouettes. to come across the front. Now, are we going to go one? Are we going to have a bit of both? A bit of both is quite fun, isn't it? That sort of adds in some different layers and things to the front of that card. So let's look at that. And the other thing we're going to decide is what greeting we're going to have on the front of there. So we quite liked, didn't we, that enjoy the little things. Now what I am going to do is, because this is watercolour card, we want this to be a really nice solid black greeting. So I'm going to bring out the stamp apparatus. That way, if I need to stamp a second time, I can do. So I'm going to line that up in that corner on the grid, put my magnet in place, and I think I'm going to want it about there. And I'll swing this round just because I've got so many little bits on my desk, but that's the easiest way to swing it. Put our stamp set underneath because that gives us a nice flat surface, and we're going to do this in stays on because obviously there might still be a couple of reasons really. One, there might still be some moisture in the paper and the memento will react with the water. The other reason being stays on is actually a blacker black. Look at that. That's what's known as Sod's Law, isn't it? It's not a bad shot first time going. If I'd have done that with a block, I am going to give it a second just to make it even blacker. Fabulous. So you get that really black then, and stays on is blacker than memento. It is a it is a jet black. It is jet black stays on, as opposed to memento, which is tuxedo black. Ooh. And obviously, as always with stays on, you need to get your cover on as quickly as you can. Oh, I'm wondering why I'm getting an incoming voice call from Valerie. Is everybody seeing me all right and hearing me okay? Could somebody give me a thumbs up or a yes, you're still going? Oh, am I back? Okay, so you can see me again now. Okay, did I go, or was it just Valerie that lost me? Did everybody lose me? I'll do a quick recap. I don't know, Valerie, where you lost me, or if everybody's lost me where they lost me. Okay, good. So we've just done that watercolour wash. We've dried it, given it a bit of a dry, but we can see where it's continued to develop and merge together. We've used a stamp apparatus to stamp the greeting, so we're giving it a couple of stamps just to give that sort of blackness on there. Okay, excellent. So I haven't gone at all for everybody else. Thank you. I would hate to think that you'd lost me. I don't want to get lost. Okay, so let's pop that to one side. And let's put in, so we're going to have this one coming this way in the background a bit. So I think I'll probably bring this about there. So I'm going to run some Tombow along this bottom bit, and then just little, oh, is it picture you've lost, Valerie, or just sound? Or I think internet at the moment is you can be there 1 minute and gone the next. It's under so much pressure. So let's just press that down. And they haven't all got glue on. Oh, I do keep dropping out. I wonder if that's my internet. Okay, so that's that bit with the sort of bulrushes come wheat field. Then we're going to have this one coming over this way. So again, actually, what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to take some mini dimensionals. Let's first of all decide how far along we want that to go. It's going to come to, I'm going to cut it about there. Yeah, you could have great fun making lots of backgrounds. You could mass produce this really easily, because you just have, because you've got all that watercolor, all that pigment sprinkles, or whatever you were going to watercolor the background, you'd have in your pot, and you could just go and paint quite a few backgrounds, leave them to dry. While they were drying, you could just cut out a whole load of silhouettes. Boom, boom, boom. It would be as quick to make 3 as it would be to make 1, nearly. Often is, isn't it? Right, so some of these other little bits, so we're obviously going to want just a few little bits of these dimensionals on the top there. So a bit like we did yesterday, we're going to be snipping little bits. I saw somebody once, and I've not tried it. Oh, took one of the little hole punches and punched pieces out of the centre of some of the dimensionals. So they've got little circle pieces. In fact, I know that this hole punch is... Have we still got the hole punch? Let's test it. Let's test the theory. So, I saw somebody once say that they took a little hole punch and they punched. Well, that's all right, as long as you haven't lost your... So perhaps we need to empty out all the little holes first. I can't help feeling that's going to be more fiddly than cutting it up, isn't it? Seemed a good idea at the time. I might try my crocodile at some point, because the idea was that you cut a hole out the middle and you could use that tiny hole, but then the rest of the dimensional you could still use, because it still gave you that bit that sort of rose up, if you like. If you wanted just to give something some dimension, you could still use the rest of the dimensional. But I think that's one to practice. Morning, Angie. And then I think we'll put one about there. Let's see how that goes. So we'll take these backings off. Morning, Hilary. Little holes, out of a hole punch everywhere now. We'll add that one on there like that, and the fact that we've put those dimensionals on brings it forward and gives that as quite a 3D sort of a. And of course, if I'd have been on the ball, what I would have used, and I forget I've got them, is my black dimensionals. Oh, duh. So once again, don't do as I do, do as I say. And what I say is, if you were to recreate this card, you could use black dimensionals on the back of there. Now I'm just rifling through this box. Oh, I didn't put them in the box, they're still behind. I've got a card base there. So I've just got another, I've got a black card base. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put which is that 9.5 by 13. I'm going to cut a little piece of wisp of white card. That is 10 by 13.5, because I think we need just another layer underneath there. Yes, look at that. That just frames it again. Yay, Angie, that is fabulous news. Oh, yeah, I got a real sense today that you were a woman on a mission. Oh, Angie's been sort of bedridden with back issues for weeks and weeks. But that is fabulous news that you're able to get up and about. But yeah, you must be careful not to overdo it. You don't want to send yourself backwards. You want to keep going forwards. So let's pop that on the front of our card. So this is just a standard black card base. We've got our little dragonflies. And we'll have one of those stuck direct, I think. And then this little one, we'll put a smidge of dimensional across the back of his wings and raise him up. Beautiful. Now I am thinking we've got the black sequins in this poppy collection. Got the lovely flower ones, but I don't think on this occasion I want the flowery ones. I do love this poppy collection of sequins. Now, are they retiring or are they carrying over? I don't know, Helen. Are they retiring or are they carrying over? Bear with me, I will tell you. I can't actually remember. I've got a feeling they're retiring. We've got a couple of sets of sequins, but not those ones. So yeah, if you want these poppy sequins, you need to get those now as well. Oh, I love these poppy sequins. If they're still available, they may all have gone. Oh! So it looks like, yeah, silhouette cards are beautiful, aren't they? It looks like other people are having problems with internet. I shall watch this back and make sure. Look at that, isn't that fab? And that's just a bit of painting and a bit of die cutting. But just that bold background makes the black pop even more. So beautiful. I shall obviously put a little insert in the middle of there, and I might, in fact, let's do that. Let's put in an insert, and we'll make it 13.9 by 9.5, I think. And onto our insert we will stamp, and everything else will work out. And we'll also have a little dragonfly stamp, I think. Brilliant. And then let's just add in a couple of those dragonflies, and possibly just going to take this sort of grassy one just here, throw that on the floor. It's not good. We've now got a furry stays on. Pick that up well around the fur. And we'll just have a little bit of a black silhouetted grass on the bottom there, which you can add flowers to, but actually on its own that looks fine. And we'll stick that. Yes, I think it is too many people on the internet using it, and of course this time of the day is also going to be people doing work meetings and things. A lot of people working from home. Beautiful. So there's one. Let's just pop some of these away for the other little card I was going to do. Oh, I'll just knock you flying. Just pop these back in here for now so we don't lose them. and our dragonfly. Okay, we're almost back to square one. Let's get rid of these holes out the hole punch. And for the second little card, I've got some shimmery white here. So let's cut this down to the In the Dock set. Let me find my old catalogue, and then I can show you that, Caroline. I haven't actually got the In the Dock set. It was one I was looking at yesterday and thinking, should I be getting that? That's another one that's bundled at the moment, but I don't think it's going forward as a bundle. There we are. So this is the In the Dock set. So you've got, so it'd be good for the with the sort of water bulrushes. So you've got your little bit of sea sort of by the lake, and your boat and your dock and your paddle, and there are dies that go with that as well. And you can see you have got a little bit of a grassy silhouette piece in there. A little frog, he's cute, isn't he? So yeah, nice set. Great for sort of men's cards. As I say, it's not one. Hard as it is to believe, I don't have them all. Wish I did. Right, so we've cut that 13.9 by 9. So something else that is retiring is this set of stencils. So we've got a set of stencils that will be in the new catalogue, but it won't be this one. So this is the one that's got like the diamonds, the brick wall, the sort of mandala and the clouds. So this set of stencils is retiring. So if you want those, you need to get them. They're incredibly useful. They're quite a reasonable price point. So I'm just going to put some clouds on here, and I should have done this right at the beginning. Come off, come off. That's the inside of the lid. Right, so we're going to scoop up some embossing paste, and actually just want some clouds at the top. So I'm going to take a little bit of scrap paper and do that so that it doesn't come any further down, and spread on. Oh, bless you. Sam's at home this morning. He doesn't go into work until lunchtime today. So I did wonder if that was my internet problem, because he's playing on his PlayStation. But obviously not mine. Morning, Pat. Make sure you do your lid up nice and tight, and I keep meaning to put some cling film on that actually, just to make sure that it doesn't dry out. So when we lift this up, we have, and I've not brought any water in with me, we have some nice fluffy clouds on the top of our card, just there. So nice 3D clouds. So I shall miss that cloud stencil. Obviously my cloud stencil isn't going anywhere. I should still have the cloud stencil. But the ability to use that cloud stencil in demonstrations and things, because it won't anymore be a current product. But there's some really nice stencils in the set that's staying. There's the one with trees. So that's that. I'm going to set it aside for a minute to dry. Again, you can give it a burst with your heat tool, but the problem with doing that is that it does tend to bubble a little bit if you do that. Right, I'm going to just take a baby wipe and give this a wipe and get the worst of it off. And I'll do the same with this stencil, just to take the bulk of that off, and then I'll give it a rinse when we're finished. You do want to be quick if you're using the stencils in cleaning them up, because the embossing paste, once it's gone hard, is not impossible to get off, but is quite a challenge, and it can sort of bend your stencil and things as you're working it to try and get that off. So it's probably best, if you can, to avoid that. Now then, what I thought we would do with this one is I'm going to die cut some of these, but I'm going to do it in white this time. I'm going to run these through the machine, both of them on a piece of allotment of white card. I'll run them through once more. For no posterity. Oh, let's not lose that little. Now we can see, particularly on the white card, that those are cut nicely. And again, it just is wiggle, wiggle, gently, gently. Removing the, separating the die cut piece. Well, that's fine, Div. You can always watch on catch up if you would like to. That's that one. Looks as if everything's gone a bit crazy this week. Let's snip that one. Again, just gently, gently ease those apart. There we go. You can actually do some quite fun bits with the things that are left over, so that's quite nice with if you've got backgrounds like that. So you could double up your cards by having sort of a background of, so with your black silhouette, having the black silhouette with just the coloured popping through. That's quite fun. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze now. Oh dear, we're into hay fever season with a vengeance. Okay, so let's move these dies out to one more side. Now, I'm probably not going to use all of these bits, just little snippets of them. Thank you. I've got the window open. I'm just thinking it's so hot I might have to have the door open. But then I think, oh, now I'm sneezing. The pollen's getting to me. Never mind. I'm used to that. And I'm not anywhere near as bad as I used to be when I was little. Right, so we've got those two bits there. And as I say, we're probably just going to snip some pieces out of here. How is our... It's pretty well getting there. I'm just going to give it a bit of a dry on the back, because obviously for speedy purposes. At home you could go away and have a coffee or clean the bathroom or something mad, and come back and it would be dry. But I think you'd all question it a little bit if I was to do that. Where the heck's she gone? And when is she coming back? So I'm just drying that on the reverse. I've got my gun heat tool on its lowest setting. I haven't got it on high. As I say, I would normally just leave those to dry themselves. But it's just because we need to speed up the process slightly, because what I'm going to do now is take a brayer, and my sponge on here has been washed, so I just literally take it apart and wash the sponge bit in some sort of warm soapy water, get all the ink out. And quite often they're stained, but that doesn't matter. They might not look beautiful, but they should still function. And I've got some balmy blue ink here, and I did re-ink it actually, because with brayers you do need to, it does soak up the ink. So I've just inked that up just by running the brayer the same way. Don't be tempted to run it backwards and forwards. We're going to come over the top there. And that'll make our clouds plop. So they have gone blue. But they're different from the sky in the background. If we'd have wanted them to stay white, we could have brayed it first and then put our embossed clouds on the top. But that's quite fun. So there we have our cloudy background, and obviously with brayering, the more you add in, more colour you get. Quite tempted. Okay. I'm going to just squeeze that through there. I'm going to tap some water onto here. That was a big blob. Then take some kitchen towel, blot. That will give us a nice sort of blotchy, almost rainy background. It's almost like twinkly stars. It's rather pretty. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of these that's that one. I'm going to take this little stamp just here. I'm going to ink it up with, what colour shall we go? We'll go Old Olive. And then we'll have some Old Olive there. Now obviously, oh, blob, where did you come from? One of the things you can do with these is colours direct to the stamp and then get sort of different colours on your flowers and things. But let's come there somewhere. We'll just add in some flowers in the background. I shall no doubt do a dragonfly just there. And then with these little bits here, we've got that background going on. Might just use that one actually. And then I'm going to grab, let's go with some stamping white markers, I think. And again we'll have Old Olive. And let's use our Old Olive to put in some greenery. We could do this with watercolour as well. And obviously I'm not taking anything like as much time as you could. I'm going to take it up to just there. This is another one that you can use. It's nice to use with the Grace's Garden. You could use the sort of gates and things in Grace's Garden, and I think my Old Olive stamping white marker is on its last legs. Mind you, when you think I've had these ones for a very long time, because it started out in the bright selection of colours, and that was the first set that I had, and I've never replaced them. What other colours shall we have? I think we'll go some crushed curry. For these ones. And let's have a bit of melon mambo for these sort of thistly looking ones. And then we'll go in with some Highland Heather. How's that on these ones? Hi Francis. Oh, I love that tree set and the mountain air. We might have a play with that either tomorrow or Friday, because that's another bundle carrying over. So as I said, obviously you would go in and take a great deal more care in the colouring of these than I have. We can add that in, and I'm going to sort of stick it so that where this card is going to go on its frame, and I think again we might give that a white frame, and then add this into the white frame, so it's just sort of like a wildflower meadow, and we'll put in some butterflies where we've got some blobs. So let's cut a piece of this for white. Oh, no, that's not quite wide enough. We'll make it 14.4 by 10. I'm going to give that a white frame like that. And obviously where there's still moisture in the card, that's running quite nicely just there, but that's okay. We're going to cover that up in a moment. Oh, actually I'm not going to stick that on just yet, because what I want to do is put our flowers on the front in situ, and then trim it. I'm going to have that, put some glue along the bottom here, some little spots of glue on the top of these flowers. Turn that over. Let's get my big scissors. And trim that. And obviously if you've got far more time than me, your colouring would be far nicer. Pop that on there like that. I'm going to quickly grab, hopefully, our little dragonflies. Where have they gone? Now I popped that dragonfly stamp back in there, didn't I? And obviously it's wandered. Here it is. And with our little dragonflies, I am going to take some sort of a blue, some Pacific Point, and some old olive, and I'm going to do a bit of a mixture of them both. So some old olive on their wings, some Pacific Point coming down this centre, and of course you can do this with all of the flowers, a bit of colouring direct. You get some beautiful then dragonflies. Let's cut those out. So that's cutting those silhouettes in white colour dyes in white card and then colouring them in how you want to. You could cover them a bit like we did our anchor yesterday, cover them in embossing powder and make them gold, or you could cut them out of foil, of course. Ooh. Now our little dragonflies are going to cover up some of our blobs. So one just there, obviously. And we'll have one down here, I think. And then we need a greeting of some sort on there. And I quite like the just let's just have a happy day. And we will stamp that. I think we're going to go for black. Nope, not quite wide enough. This bit will be. Looks like this Memento ink could do with a little bit of a re-ink. Of army blue. And you could add in some sequins, some gems, a bit of ribbon or twine. I've curved that round a little bit. And I'm going to my big dimensionals. Let's just use some of these bits on the side and snip some of these. I'm going to put one each end. And then in the centre there, I'm going to double it up, and that will hopefully maintain that curve. Oh, if only we hadn't put a blobby mark on it. I will sort that out in a minute. So ignoring the blobby mark on our happy day, that's a really bright, colourful, clouds in the sky, sort of shimmery, spotty background to contrast with the black silhouettes of that one. a gorgeous, gorgeous bundle, stamp sets, dies. And if you want them both, if they're on your wish list, get them now while you can get that 10% off. Because come the end of May, or when they go out of stock, you'll have to buy the two separately. And that's 10% worth that you're not going to be able to spend on something else. And those pigment sprinkles, they are retiring. Get them now. The poppy sequins, they're retiring. Get them now. That set of stencils is retiring. Get them now. So yes, lots you need to get your hands on. Lots of shopping to be done. So do that. Say, be aware that things are taking a little bit longer to come out of our European warehouse. Just because of circumstances, but they'll get there eventually, and when they get there you'll be able to play. So enjoy the rest of your day, evening, whatever it is, and I will be back in the morning and we'll play with something else.